Achia, play. Good morning, Tal Ben Shahar, and good morning, Yuval Kutz.
Good morning, Meir Gluzberg.
Hi, Meir. Great to see you.
Good morning, everyone. This is Meir Gluzberg for Ontario Realtors for Realtors. Meir Gluzberg from Forest Hill Real Estate. And it's a new year, and this conversation is going to be super relevant to the new year and to the Corona era. And I'm going to ask you very difficult questions. But before that, I'll give some introduction to Tal Ben Shahar and Yuval Kutz. You are the co-founders of the Happiness Studies Academy. Tal Ben Shahar, you were one of the most popular professors or popular lecturers at Harvard University. And when I announced that we're going to do this conversation today, I have to tell you, I got so much feedback. So many people recognize the name. I didn't realize. So I was surprised about it, to be honest. So what an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Science of happiness?
Happiness is a science.
I read it a few times. The Science of Happiness. Corona time, 2021, the first day of the year. Can we talk about the Science of Happiness? Can you explain? What is the Science of Happiness?
Yeah, until quite recently, the whole field of happiness was dominated by the self-help or New Age movement. And what you have there, these are the 5 steps to the good life, or the three secrets of success. Now we have a science. It's no longer New Age. It's no longer self-help. It's evidence-based interventions. And interventions that actually work, that can help you become happier, even in 2021.
Let's hope so. When you say science, to me, it's something that you can study and it's repetitive. You can learn how to be happier.
It's exactly right. I mean, the reason why we do what we do is so that people can become happier and introduce techniques, tools to their personal lives, to their organizations, so that they can be happier and consequently more successful as well.
So relevant to my profession. I have to tell you, as a real estate broker and as a real estate agent, even when I started, it's such a roller coaster, our business. One day you make a deal and you're becoming obsessed and you're looking for the new one, and for the next one, and you're becoming even more obsessed, and sometimes you're disappointed, and you almost touch the big money, and then you lose it. And I noticed that successful realtors are similar to one another.
First, I have to say that I'm happy to start the conversation with 2021.
Right, it's the first.
Especially after the 2020, that was a roller coaster in itself.
Right.
And quite harmful for millions of people worldwide.
And we're starting with happiness, with 2021.
Well, happiness was important in 2020 and is important in 2021. Probably was important way before and will be important way after.
Well, just so you know, the goal now of this conversation is to help business people and realtors, because I'm a realtor and I care about my community, help them to succeed in 2021. So the first conversation of the year will be about the happiness. We'll continue to have more conversation of that type, professional conversation that will help realtors to succeed. But let's go back to my question. Realtors, successful realtors, I noticed, and I meant to ask you, I knew from the morning I'm going to ask you my first question. Successful realtors around the world, whether they are in Toronto, New York, Tel Aviv, I met so many, maybe hundreds. They're similar to one another. And I always teach my agents about the characteristics and the methods to become successful. But with you, we're taking it to a different level, maybe to the next step. Is happiness related to how successful you are?
Yeah, that's a very important question, because most people actually have a misconception. Meaning most people think that the relationship between success and happiness is that success is the cause, happiness is the effect. In other words, if I reach this milestone, if I make so much money, if I get this promotion, if I get this house or this car or this partner, then I'll be happy. That turns out not to be the case. Yeah, we'll experience a spike in our happiness level, a temporary high, but not lasting happiness. So the question is there no relationship between success and happiness? Yes, there is, but it's the opposite of what most people think. It's not that success leads to happiness. It's rather that happiness leads to success. Meaning if you increase levels of well-being, even by a little bit, and we're talking, 3-4%, which is very attainable, achievable, what you immediately see is higher levels of success. How? In the form of more creativity, productivity, engagement, and very relevant to realtors, better connection to other people. Because when are you more likely to make the sale? When you connect to the client, when they say, oh, I like this guy, I like her, you trust them.
It's the energy, maybe.
It's the energy, and it's happiness brings out positive energy. It's not just, it's the positive energy that comes out, and that sells.
And you're saying that you can learn, well, you have the academy, you can learn how to apply different tools to become happier. Can I assess myself? Am I happy or not? Because I have to tell you, the more I age, the more I realize that I question myself. I have to be honest. This is a very honest conversation. Oh my God, I'm getting myself into trouble. But as I age...
You only can move to the couch and get therapy.
I would have therapy. But as I age, I'm asking myself sometimes, am I happy? If what I do makes me happier? And I have to tell you, sometimes I have difficult days, and then I know I have a presentation to my agents, or we have a conversation or an important meeting, and I'm putting myself together and say, okay, I'm happy now. I'm energetic. But are there ways to... It's true. It's happened this week. But are there ways to and tools to apply to become happy? Can you help me to be consistently happy and help realtors?
In general, through the Happiness Studies Academy, that's what we do. We teach people, educate people, and adding a complete toolbox to their overall skill set.
So it's something you can learn.
It's definitely something that you can learn, and for some people it's very intuitive. For some people, like yourself, I believe, it's very intuitive, and they do a lot of things that does make them happier and improve their overall well-being. And as Tal just said, their success, they're more successful people as a result of that. But the most important thing to remember is that anyone can do better, and you can improve on that.
So everyone can improve their happiness.
So the answer is absolutely yes.
I have so many. By the way, I will try to be focused because this conversation can go for hours. I want to assess myself, and then maybe use tools to improve myself. Mm-hmm. Can we do that?
Yeah. So the first thing that I have to say, you ask, can we help you become consistently happy? Yes. And the implicit or explicit message here is, I want to be happy all the time. And that's not possible. And when, Yuval and I talk about increasing levels of happiness, it means increasing base level. But around base level, there are still ups and downs. Only the purpose is so that the ups and downs have an upward trajectory. So that today, you're happier than you were, a year ago. And 5 years from now, you'll be happier than you are today in terms of your base level. So difficult experiences, difficult days are inevitable. Now, you said something very interesting, Meir. And you've all mentioned that some people do the right thing intuitively. And you pointed to something like that because you said, some days I wake up and, I don't feel like working, or I don't feel like, standing in front of the client. And yet I pick myself up and I tell myself, okay, act that way. And that's a very important technique because sometimes we have to fake it.
You fake it until you make it.
Fake it until you become it. Uh-huh. So this is work by Amy Cuddy, who was my colleague, where she talks about how even if we're not feeling great, it's okay. We can fake it, and then over time we'll feel better. And the second half of the day is a lot better than the first.
And I think people would, and that's us realtors, I believe people attract to happier people, to more energetic people. Like, it's good for me as a business person. By the way, it doesn't apply only for realtors. Any business person, you attract. I mean, everyone in sales. Every business is sales.
There is something that is called, I would say, a likability factor of a person.
Yes.
You become a more likable person.
And people would like to, at the end of the day, to deal with people that are positive energy, and they attract to them. I believe that's a key to success.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're talking about business, and this very much applies to business. It also applies to our personal life. For example, if you ask people, tell me, what's the most important factor in a relationship? And most people would say, in a romantic relationship, would say, well, that you're there for her, for him in difficult times, that you can empathize, and they're absolutely right. It's very important. But you know what's more important? Are you there for them in good times? Meaning, can you bring positive energy to your interaction? So if your partner says, I made a sale today, can you say, wow, that's amazing, tell me about it, and let's. So you amplify their positive energy, and people need that. Your clients need it, your wife needs it, our children need it. Even in therapy sessions, therapists help their clients when they help lift them up. Yeah, empathy is important. Being with their pain is important. Also in good times. You want to be with them. You want to elevate them.
I love it. Whenever I'm not in a good mood, no one in my office is in a good mood. I know that. I notice that.
It's contagious.
Yes, it is. But let me ask you, so let's go back.
Both sides of it are contagious.
Right. But let's go back a little bit and ask the basics. How do I, because I want to be practical to everyone who's watching us. Let's be practical. I'm a business person. How do I assess myself first? And then my next question will be, what can I do to improve? What tools can we just give the basics so we get the guidelines?
So, first of all, in terms of assessment, the more important thing is to ask, how can I become happier, as opposed to where am I? Because it's very difficult to objectively assess happiness. Yeah, we can do brain scans and see your left to right prefrontal cortex ratio, and that's pretty accurate. But it's less important. What's more important is, how can I increase my levels of happiness? Now, one of the ways is to, you talk a lot about having a role model.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, what kind of person, what's the best version of myself? And then act into it. What you do matters a lot more than what you think and what you feel.
Gotcha.
So act into it. So that's the first thing. The next thing, simple things such as exercise regularly. You know that regular physical exercise has the same effect on our psychological well-being. Of course, it helps our physiology, but on our psychological well-being as our most powerful psychiatric medication. So, if you wake up and you're not feeling great, go for a run. Go,
Most
dance.
people do the opposite. They don't feel great and they decide to sit at home and do nothing.
And mope.
Or they're stressed and they work. They need to work.
Exactly right. And then what happens is they go into a downward spiral. And what going for a run can help you rise, go upward spiral. So exercise. Another thing, when I started off in the business world, I asked my mentor, the late Richard Hackman, I asked him, what advice do you have for me? And he said, keep a journal. And, that surprised me. What do you mean, keep a journal? He said, ever since I talked about himself, the journal has helped me in difficult times and helped elevate good times. So keeping a journal, writing about what we're experiencing, analyzing it on paper, not ruminating here, which we tend to do, but on paper, that can help a great deal, attain insights and make progress.
About your difficult times?
About your difficulties
about your
and about your feelings, about difficult times, about successes, so that you can repeat successes, about your role models and what you intend to do.
And about the good things as well that you're grateful for.
Yeah. So there's a lot of research showing that when we appreciate the good appreciates. In other words, when we don't take for granted what we did. So Teresa Amabile at Harvard Business School did research showing that business people who at the end of the day write one thing that they made progress on. It could be, of course, big, I made a sale, but it could also be I had a meeting, or I cleared my desk, small things or big things. One progress. They're more creative as a result, more productive, their job satisfaction goes up, their happiness goes up, and that begins an upward spiral.
I love it. So just to summarize, you want to be happier, the basic steps, and of course you have this academy, the studies, and there's more into it, basic steps or basic guidelines. Look at a role model. By the way, I tell all the agents, you want to become a better agent? Choose somebody that you adore, somebody who does really, really, really well, and decide that you want to be like them. And try to imitate.
As I said, you have good intuition.
So that's what you do for business. So a role model, exercise, even when it's a difficult time, you want to keep yourself up. So you start working out and release maybe energy. And I guess there is more physical issues that are related to it, but we're not going to get into it. And write a journal. I don't relate to that as much, but I have to tell you one thing that you touched on a very, very difficult days. I try to stop for a second and I look around and I say, I'm actually lucky. I should look at my big picture. I made some achievements. It's okay.
There are so many techniques, and we're really touching some,
of course, just the basics.
Basic ground. And not all of the techniques are relevant for all of us. As you said, I feel that I don't relate so much to journaling.
Of course.
Which makes sense, and not everybody will find themselves with journaling, another person will find himself meditating.
And I hope you don't mind, I'm so straightforward.
Yeah, no, please. And I think this is, you touch an important point here. So, yeah, the Happiness Studies Academy, we talk a lot about research. And the research shows that journaling helps, and the research shows that exercise helps, and the research shows that expressing gratitude, appreciation helps, and on and on. And yet, we always emphasize in our courses, what's more important than research is me-search. In other words, look at the general trends and what's working and what's helping most people. More importantly, look at what's happening, what's working in yourself. And the thing is, we can look inside. And the important thing is to look inside and ask, when were my best days? Just, you're talking about finding role models. Why not look at a role model as the self? When were my best selves? What happened there? Why not? Why do we usually tend to study failures? Why not also study successes?
I agree.
And when you study success and you realize, well, I did something slightly different, and then repeat it. In other words, do more research. Mahatma...
You mean to learn to imitate whatever I've done really well.
Exactly. So, when we talk about imitative leadership, it's about imitating external people, role models. It's also imitating our best experiences, our greatest successes. And people don't do that enough. We learn from failures usually because they hurt, and we analyze them and we ruminate about them and we even write about them. But we don't learn enough from our successes, from what works. And by the way, once again, this doesn't just apply to the workplace. This doesn't just apply to the best sale that I made. It also applies to my relationship. When were we as a couple were at our best? When was I the best version of myself? How can I replicate it, do more of it? The self is the role model.
I'll take it to the next step, which relates to our business also. Certain activities and relationships make you happy. And sometimes we tell our agents, you should fire this client for different reasons. Should we learn how to eliminate whatever doesn't make us happy? Is that a tool as well?
Yes, it is.
Should we fire clients sometimes?
I'll leave that up to you to decide. However, there is the contagion factor. And the contagion factor, of course, comes when the clients are positive and they make us more positive, and vice versa. It also works when they are negative and they sap our energy. And the challenge, and this is a huge challenge for anyone who's in front of clients all day, is that you can't be yourself all the time. Meaning, you're in front of a happy client, you can be happy and it's great. But what if you're in front of a miserable or a misery-generating client? What do you do? You still need to be nice. Yeah. And the important thing here is, and here we get to the number one predictor of happiness, you have to have other relationships in your life that are supportive, so that you can go home or that you can go to your partner at work and talk about it and tell them, I have a client from hell, and that helps.
That's why we tell it's interesting you talk about it, because you're so right. We tell agents you should have a partner or belong to a team. That's why we have real estate brokerages. A lot of times you tell agents, join us. So you're part of a family, you're part of something. This is exactly right.
Part of a supportive community.
Exactly.
Like accountability bodies.
And that's why we have associations, and that's why we have Facebook groups. That's the exact reason. This is so interesting. Let me ask you a question that I touched on in the beginning. With COVID, it's relevant to our times. What has changed in the past 12 months, past 10 months? What are the challenges? It has changed, right? Yeah. Something has changed.
It changed, and not for the better. Levels of depression, and the latest research just literally came out before New Year's. Depression levels are at an all-time high since we started measuring. And again, anxiety levels are at an all-time high. Now, we don't have comparative numbers to World War II or the pandemic 102 years ago, but since the time we started, and that's decades. The highest it has ever been. So it's not looking good. The thing, though, is that many people ask us, okay, so, Happiness Studies Academy now? when you know the world's falling to pieces. And one of my friends said to me, Tal, I think we should quarantine happiness. And you know, my answer is no. I don't think we should quarantine happiness. The science of happiness is even more important these days. Why? Because in a way, you know, now we have the vaccine and there's more optimism. What the science of happiness provides is a psychological vaccine. In other words, it helps us become stronger, better able to deal with difficulties and hardships when these arise. And they inevitably arise, you know, now or even in, you know, good times when the market's great and, you know, everyone's healthy. So the science of happiness is a vaccine helping us deal with external viruses, psychologically speaking.
And I see that, by the way, I see that in the letters that we've been getting from students throughout 2020, throughout the entire pandemic. I see people thanking or talking about what that courses that we're teaching did for them personally in their business world and in their relationship. And it does seem like a psychological vaccine.
You know, I noticed that some individuals, and back to my business, some business people or agents, this period of time, some of them actually shined. And some of them were better than others. Some of them actually increased their business. And they became the focus of a lot of their activities, and they were not before. Like, you could see who was affected more and who wasn't. And maybe that's also something that they had in them, but that
This is people that have a toolbox for resilience. These are people that have a set of skills that allow them to thrive in difficult times.
Unbelievable. You mentioned your academy.
Maybe we want to talk about PTG here.
Yeah. I was thinking that. So, you know, we're going through a global trauma right now. You know, different people at different levels, but it's a traumatic experience for most people.
It will be studied for centuries.
For centuries. I know, you know, my colleagues are having a fields day, you know, with all the studies and research, you know, having this natural experiment. Now, the interesting thing is, as you both mentioned, is, you know, some people fall down, others rise. And in psychology, there is a parallel. You know, I ask my students, most of my students are psychology majors. You know, when I teach at a university, even though at the Happiness Studies Academy, we have the whole range, you know, psychologists, business people, doctors, you name it. And I ask my students, psychologists, I say to them, have you heard of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder? Everyone says yes. And then I say to them, okay, second question, have you heard of PTG? Nobody. And I said, PTG is post-traumatic growth. Now, the interesting thing is that post-traumatic growth, in other words, growing stronger as a result of hardship, is more common, twice as likely as post-traumatic stress disorder, if we know what conditions to put in place.
You mean you will be more resilient in the future if it ever happens again, or
you become stronger as a result of it. Your sales go up,
you grow
for
stronger.
example. You grow stronger. You perform better. You become more empathic, kinder, more generous, and for the future, better able to deal with hardships. Now, it's more likely, but you need to know what conditions to put in place. And this is precisely what the science of happiness is all about.
This is so interesting because also in business, now with COVID, we had no choice to survive. We learned how to use technology. I didn't know what a Zoom is. Suddenly I have Zoom. So in a way, we improved our business and the tools we have. And you're saying it's the same for happiness.
It's exactly the same for happiness.
And those tools will stay with us in 2021.
Oh, for sure. No matter, even if we're going to go through this period and life will be back to normal, it'll never be back to normal. Yeah. But assuming
the new normal,
everyone will start using the tools. Like Zoom will be part of my life now.
And you know, Meir, there's a very important point to make here, because there's no question this past year has been painful, very painful. So you know, we're not coming here and saying, oh, you know, just all be happy and it's all great and you'll grow stronger and better as a result. No. You know, one of the sentences that we repeat over and over again is that things do not necessarily happen for the best. You know, it sucks that we had to go and have to go through what we're going through.
Glad you're saying that.
Things do not happen for the best. However, we can choose to make the best of things that happen. And this is what the science of happiness is about. Not saying, oh, just be positive about whatever happens to you. You know, rejoice in a conflict you had with your partner, or rejoice in a tragedy that you... No, of course not. Things do not happen for the best, but they've happened. We have no control over the reality or what happened. But what we have control over is what we choose to do with that. And here, we can choose to implement certain things that increase the likelihood, don't guarantee, but increase the likelihood of growing stronger as a result.
I love it.
It's facing reality. It's just facing reality, and reality has its good and it has its bad. And, you know, you asked about some simple guidelines or steps that can make me happier. Well, to sum it in 2 words, it's facing the reality. It's facing reality.
This is so interesting. You know, a question comes to my mind. Are we happier in the past? I'm not talking about past year, past 10 years, decade, 50 years. Are we happier lately or not?
I don't want to be the party pooper here, but the answer is no. Happiness levels did not go up over the past 50 years. In fact, depression and anxiety levels went up. And by the way, not just the past year, even before the past year. And part of it is because we have given up on some of the basic values that are also the basic antecedents, prerequisites for a happier life. For example, being physically active. You know, children and adults are much more sedentary today than they were in the past.
It's not necessary as much anymore.
Because we can press the button or call. That's one thing. Another thing, relationships. You know, 1,000 friends on social media are no substitute for that, you know, one BFF, best friend forever, that you interact with face to face. And again, I'm not just talking the past year when we've been forced to distance ourselves. I'm talking about the past 20 years. So we need to go back to basics in many ways. You know, our grandmother was right.
This is so interesting. For everyone who's watching, your academy, Studies of Happiness, how can I learn more? How can I get involved? What can I do? Because I know you were taught, we had a discussion before, you offer some courses online, right? Is it something that we can apply to ourselves? Is it something you can offer?
Definitely.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
We have, the Happiness Studies Academy have a few programs to it. The first program is the Certificate in Happiness Studies, which is called the CIHS. The Certificate in Happiness Studies has been running for a few years now, and it is running in different languages, by the way, English, Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, and Japanese. We have thousands of students for more than 60 countries now. This is a year-long online program. Everything that HSA, Happiness Studies Academy, does is in online programs. And this is designed specifically, I'm talking mainly about this program because I think it's more related to your audience. Yeah. And this program is designed for, from one part is for educators of all sorts, coaching and sociologists and HR managers. And
can you apply for salespeople or business people?
Definitely.
Should we do maybe a course just for salespeople? I think that'll be wonderful.
This course is designed for people. Salespeople are people. Yeah. They want to be successful salespeople.
You always look at everything in a positive side. No matter what, you always see the positive side.
You know,
a reality.
Sometimes bad things happen, and the good thing is I'm facing them as well. But definitely, if you want to be a better salesperson, you want your likability factor to be higher. You want your relationship with your coworkers and with your clients to improve. Then definitely this is for you. So it is designed for people. So it's designed for people of all sorts, and we do have a lot of businesses and a lot of companies that are sending their top-notch key employees across the board. Each company takes it from in a different level, but and we do see the results.
That's
happiness
amazing.
Eventually, happiness pays. Happier employees are more fruitful, are more collaborative, are more productive, and as a result, happiness pays also for organization and also for an individual that is doing real estate.
And for us as realtors, happier realtor attracts happier clients. Or more clients.
More,
I should say.
more,
Say
clients. Both. More clients, and again, because of the contagion, also eventually happier clients.
It's a very social business, so you need to be happy. Thank you so much. What an honor to have you, Tal Ben Shahar, and thank you so much, Yuval Kutz.
Thank you, Meir, for having us.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Happy New Year. Just say happy.
Happy New Year.
Happier New Year.
Happier New Year. I'm so glad our first live session of this group, Ontario Realtors for Realtors, starts with you, the subject of happiness. And what an honor. Tal Ben Shahar, just to remind everyone, Harvard University used to be the most popular, had the most popular courses. I've heard it a few times. I know that. And now I know why. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you so much for watching us. Meir Gluzberg from Forrestal Real Estate, Ontario Realtors for Realtors. Hope you have a great day and have a great weekend.